Yes, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles, folks. I'm Chris, this is my channel, an absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And just mere hours ago, over on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel, there was a fan stream, a Yojo June fan stream with loads of G.I. Joe information, a big chunk of G.I. Joe classified stuff for us G.I. Joe classified fans. So here I am, hours later, after making some notes and digesting some information and getting some graphics together, to share my thoughts and commentary on what we saw on that stream today. Lots of stuff filling me with joy, but also lots of stuff bumming me out as well. So just wanted to kind of talk through, give an overview of what we were shown, but then also talk through my thoughts and offer some opinions and perspectives on those as well. Because that's kind of it, really. Yojo June started and wrapped up all in a day, and perhaps we'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the video as well, so maybe some thoughts around the wider Yojo June experience and what's going on in G.I. Joe Classified right now. But the main thing is to talk about the reveals. It's all about the reveals, and that's what we're most excited about. So let's get into it, and let's take a look at some of what they showed us. Okay then, folks, so I'm going to get started with the handful of digital renders that they gave us. There were two in total, one Joe, one Cobra, and the first one that they popped up on screen to get us excited about was this guy, the Saw Viper. And yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this one. They've definitely bulked him out a bit, haven't they? In fact, Lenny passed comments saying that they've beefed the dude up quite a bit. He's got a lot of kind of nostalgic vestigial elements from the original kind of vintage Saw Viper design. So the colour scheme choice, that purple, those two shades of purple, or is it a purple and a pink? Let me know in the comments down below, but I'm going to call it two shades of purple. The green cut bits with the visor and the little green bit on the belt buckle. The core character visual identity elements are there, like the big pouches, and of course the fact that he's got, you know, a big old chainsaw on the end of his machine gun there is obviously a big part of the visual identity too. The huge vest with the neck guard is curious to me. I mean, I know the Saw Viper was kind of a bit of a bulky character, and very important in terms of like comic book lore. You know, the Saw Viper, Robert Skelton was responsible for the slaughter of so many Joes. And he was a beefy dude, but I remember the figure and the comic book appearance being a little bit more svelte and athletic than this. But I don't know if he's just looking really bulked up because of all these extra armory pieces. And I get it, you know, in terms of the narrative storytelling, like the neck defender there is to, I don't know, to stop him from accidentally cutting himself in the neck. And he's got the braces on the arm and stuff, I'm not sure, but I'm concerned about what it means for articulation. They did say that the helmet was removable, so maybe the head's got a little bit more space to move when the helmet's not on. I'd be really impressed, actually, if the face sculpt was like a Devil's Due Comics Robert Skelton face sculpt, you know, being the Saw Viper that was responsible for the brutal execution of so many Joes, as a little bit of a kind of Easter eggy piece there. So that'd be great. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, broadly speaking, I'm less excited by the troop builders nowadays than I am by unique characters. And this just looks really bulky. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll change my mind when I see one in hand. But at this moment in time, it's not blown me away, but I know there's plenty of folks out there who are really excited to have seen the Saw Viper, so there we go. We got one on the way, folks. Next up then, the Joe digital render was Dial Tone, and this one, yeah, this one's looking good. I like the look of this one, and it's got all the kind of hallmarks of a G.I. Joe classified figure, where they've got those nostalgic inspiration elements, but it's a modern reinterpretation under the classified generation. Lenny uses the language of generations there, but it's got all the key identifying features, like the backpack with the pointy uppy bit, and he's got, you know, communications gear and such like, which is nice. I saw someone passing comment like, oh, he doesn't seem to have much with him, and they said the same about the Saw Viper, but I think there's more than we believe there to be, because it looks like there's a knife tucked into a leg sheath there, and he's got like a communications device in a holster on his top of his right thigh. So, and I imagine the hat's removable. I was making notes. I don't remember if they mentioned that. But then he's got like another holster for another communications device and stuff, and he's got the little listening gun thing. I don't recognise his assault rifle, actually. I'm not sure if anybody knows, can let me know in the comments down below. I didn't look at that and go, oh, we've seen that before. I feel like that's a new rifle sculpt that we've got there. Or is it an SMG? I don't know, I'm not a gun guy. But overall, I think a great addition to the line. He's kind of a bit bland in terms of the colour scheme, but that's okay because it's relatively accurate with the visual identity of the characters we know and love anyway, so I'm not going to complain a great deal about that, but I think this one's promising and definitely one that I would be looking at making a pre-order for when they make it available. Okay, on to the mainline figures today, and folks, these were made available for pre-order today. I'm hearing whispers on the wind that one of them is already sold out in North America, in the US at least. And I'm also hearing whispers on the wind that one of them never turned up on the UK Hasbro Pulse page. I don't know, I use independent retailers, but let's get into it. And the first in-hand figure that they showed us that they made available for pre-order today was the Alpine figure. Now, in terms of the stream, there were a few things that they were eager to point out. They pointed out that the hat and the goggles were removable. They spun the figure around to show us that the two ice hooks that he comes with have got some carry hoops at the back. Just looking at my notes here now. They also mentioned that he's got 12 inches of cord, so all the grappling hooks and stuff, you can do some fun stuff with that. Lenny passed comment saying he's got his hanging off a shelf at the moment. He's got the rope piece across his chest. The paint app on the t-shirt is like an Idaho, I don't know, tourist board t-shirt thing. That's because that's where he's from. He's from Idaho, which is a nice little character touch, little personality touch. I know that these leaked, and I want to talk about the fact that they leaked a day or two early in a moment, and I know that it leaked, and a lot of people when they leaked were talking about the head sculpt, but the in-hand shots actually made me feel a lot better about the head sculpt than it looked in the promotional photo, in the white background one, and some of the shooting the Galaxy promo shots. I was like, oh yeah, baby. It, definitely turned me around on that once they kind of hit the internet and they took a closer look at them yesterday. But yeah, it seems all right. One of the things that I've seen a few folks out in the community, in fact, there's a broad sentiment around all the reveals today around this, was the reuse, all the gear reuse stuff. So the grapple launchers from the Alley Viper, the rifle we've seen a few times before. I think we've had the ice hooks before as well, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I don't buy every figure, so sometimes I lose track. But loads of lovely sculpting detail. He's got, his climbing gear, all the carabiners on there, which look really sweet and nice. Oh, I'll tell you something else a lot of folks I noticed were pointing out that, in fact, there was one guy in the chat who was absolutely raging livid about this. Copy-paste spammed it several times while the live stream was going on about the lack of a backpack for Alpine, which I agree. I think that's a bit of an egregious oversight there with a character who's, a climber. He'd have a big old backpack for carrying all this shit in, wouldn't he? But yeah, I agree. That's a bit of a shame. And it also marks, yet again, a movement away from that original sort of design ethos that Lenny talked about a couple of years back on streams around you should be able to carry all your stuff on the figure, which clearly you're not going to be able to do with this guy. Oh, and that's the same with a number of the figures that we've seen today. So I think Alpine's a pre-order. I like it well enough. I think expectations were high, like really high around this guy. So when we all finally saw him, I think it was a bar that couldn't quite be met, if I'm being perfectly honest. I've got a feeling whether that may have influenced a lot of the kind of broad community commentary around this when it leaked. But overall, I'm actually quite pleased. I love the jacket design. He's got no knee pads on, though. But there you go. There's Alpine, folks. I think he's all right. He's decent. He's enough for me to put in a pre-order, but it's not blown me away. But is that because of the expectations? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Okay, well, next up was a Cobra character, and this was the Iron Grenadier Bat, the first of two Iron Grenadier-themed characters that we're getting in this mainline release this time around. And it looks all right. Looks decent. I can't help but think, one of my Joe Bros on Discord a bit earlier on when we were sort of discussing the release, he said, folks got a bit of bat fatigue, and I'm certainly feeling that. It's unlikely that I'll pre-order this. I've got two bats, the kind of core main figure and then the Arctic bat, and I'm sort of all right with that. And I'm not even sure, but I barely ever get the Arctic bat out, so I've got a bit of bat fatigue, because how many have there been now? 4, 5? And I've got to admit, the colour scheme, I know a lot of people think it looks badass with the gold, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me. It's just not singing to me the way that other stuff does. But that's okay. You know, we're allowed to think differently about that. That's just a kind of personal taste thing. But it's a fine enough figure. The bats are good quality figs. I enjoyed my black and yellow one a great deal. This one's obviously got all the gold trimmings, and they were mentioning on the stream that it's this great kind of painted gold, so it looks really nice. It gives the figure some depth and brings it to life a little bit. They've got all the kind of bits that were with the first mainline version of the bat, and then the head swap, the alternative head, is like a redeco of a repaint of the Arctic bat head swap, but in the gold motif, you know. So lots of value in there, lots of stuff crammed in. And and the clear plate. They made a big fuss about the clear plate over the front there, and mentioning that, of course, because it's the same plate design, you can swap that amongst your other bats. But I think I'll give this one a miss. I'll tell you what, though, the chat while the stream was going on was an absolute horror show. In many, many ways. But there was one guy in there talking about cut, paste, spam, repeat spamming something. There was one individual in there who was absolutely incensed, like wild with rage, that they'd packaged the Iron Grenadiers up with Cobra on it. Maybe it's the red backing card in the packaging or something. I'll go back and check my pictures. But kept copy, paste, repeat spamming. Fix your Iron Grenadier packaging. They are not Cobras. Over and over and over again. I mean, talk about hills to die on. But anyway, but the Iron Grenadier bat has definitely proven popular. I've seen a lot of people out and about in the community, the various social spaces that I hang out in, saying they think it looks badass, really cool. Definitely thinking about picking up several to do a bit of army building with them. And more power to them. It is a great figure. It's just the colour scheme's not for me, and that's just a taste thing. And then next it was on to the Iron Grenadier themselves, the kind of infantry, troopery Iron Grenadier kind of design there. Another one that has proven a bit polarising, actually, I've noticed out and about in the community. But to speak to the stream directly, they were really proud of, a number of things they pointed out. I'm just looking over my notes here. The skull decos, Lenny pointed out the skull deco, saying there's lots of little kind of sculpts of skulls to that theme, that motif within them there. He talked about how they'd looked across different generations, and it definitely looks to me like a mashup of several different Iron Grenadier versions. You've got some kind of taste and flavour of the very first original Iron Grenadier with the helmet shape and design and that bandolier across the front and everything, but then with the long coat, that's much more of the kind of later... I want to say Collector's Club version of the character, so much later. I'm not hugely familiar with the Collector's Club figures. I just sort of researched them a couple of years ago. But it feels like it's a bit of a mashup of the two. Another figure that has got a few people speaking out about reused accessories, very unhappy that it's the machine gun and weird double-barreled submachine gun that we first saw with Big Ben and has been reused numerous times. I get that, to be fair. I would have liked a better weaponry selection. And then the Destro kind of laser gun, which I understand in the sense of, like, it's Destro's Iron Grenadiers, but still a bit bland. And the pistol, I think, is Destro's as well. So a bit bland, and then the sword's Crimson Guard one. So the kind of signature weaponry that forms part of the visual identity is not there. But I actually quite like this one. I think it's got a real kind of mean-ass evil vibe. The kind of old World War II German military uniform obviously evokes that villain, like a really villainous idea in your mind, and I think that works quite well. I saw a few folks not too happy with the grey and black, the grey trousers and the black. Again, that's bothered me less. I actually quite like the contrast in there. I think with the black and red and gold, then in the coat and the boots and stuff, a little something to break it up works quite nicely with the grey collar piece just poking out the top of the coat and the grey trousers, and it means that like Metalhead, there's a little bit more kind of uniformality in the Iron Grenadiers when you bring in characters like Metalhead to the mix there too. So it doesn't bother me so much, but there is a sentiment out in the community that they don't like that it's been a kind of reinterpretation, but I do. I like that they've kind of taken the best bits from these different versions and mashed them up to make their own classified version. And not so keen on the weapon reuse, which I totally get. One other thing as well they noted on the stream, actually, just before I wrap it up, talking about weapon storage, they spun the figure round at one point and showed all the various holsters and kind of holders they've got at the back. So there's a pistol holster at the base of his back on the belt, and then there's a holster centre back, which I think takes the kind of Destro style laser, and then there's a peg hole to put the sword on the figure that you can remove or keep as you see fit. So yeah, I like the Iron Grenadier. I think this is one that I will pick up, one that I will pre-order. It's got a kind of flavour that speaks to me, to be fair, and I can't, I can't begrudge anyone who's not keen on it for their reasons, but I'm into it. Then finally, the fourth and final figure in the mainline wave that went on pre-order today was the version 2 Storm Shadow, which I know a lot of people were very excited about when it first started leaking out, when we were getting leaks of the name on the retail listings and stuff. Whether the pictures and the reveal today has changed opinions, that's a different story altogether. But of course, version 2 Storm Shadow, from that period of time in the Real American Hero comic book storyline, when he came over to the side of the Joes, he just sort of retired and kind of helped out a bit to my recollection. In fact, all the pictures of him meditating on the mountain and stuff was making me think of, because he went and lived at Snake Eyes cabin, didn't he, for a bit. But in any case, interesting figure. Always great to see hand swaps, that kind of value there. I love hand swaps with my figures. I think that should just be as standard. And then some nice kind of paint applications there. They were talking about the effort they put into making the camo right and look vivid and proper. The Arashikage tattoo on his arm, although it should be on the inside, shouldn't it? Not the outside. But anyway. So that's cool. And then we were talking about some design choices in the stream about putting the sheaths to the side, so they can do some action, so you can do action poses and interesting photos with it in that sense. It's got all those nostalgic vestigial elements of the vintage figure, but they've updated it, of course, in certain ways. So the pouches across the middle, the camo job, but the shin guards, and they were talking about adding this sort of ninja combat skirt thing, battle skirt thing, to give him a bit more going on there. Yet another character whose accessory selection is largely reuse. So the swords are from, we've seen those a few times. The claws and nunchucks, the compound bow we've seen several times. I'm pretty sure the backpack's brand new though, and it does evoke the original vintage backpack design, although the old one I seem to remember was bright red, in line with the other red trimmings on his outfit. The hood has definitely generated a lot of commentary across the socials as I've seen it. It looks weird and a bit kind of tightly fitted around the head, and then there was some speculation about, is it on upside down, the wrong way round, and it needs taking off and putting another way. Again, shout out to my Joe Bros. We were chatting about it before. This hood is different. It's not the same as Storm Shadow version 1 and Kamakura's. They had kind of 2 crease folds across the top of the hood there, and this one just has a single crease fold coming up the top. And at this moment in time, we've not seen any promotional photography or anything with the hood off. We haven't seen what the face looks like, the head sculpt looks like, outside of that hooded version of Storm Shadow V2. So whether that's it's just with the hood, it's unremovable. I don't know. I'd be interested to know what's going on. I've not pre-ordered this one, mostly because I don't like having repeat characters, but also because it just looks like there's too much going on. Looks like a bit of a hectic figure to me, and I'm not keen on the look with that hood. Now, whether I change my mind, because I am flip-flopping a little bit, and I do think he's good enough. Time will tell, but for the moment, yeah, I'm just strictly adhering to my rule of no repeat characters, he says. Even though a bit later on I might be going back on that. So time will tell. We'll see. I might change my mind here, but it just looks like a bit of a hectic character to me, and it's just not singing to me, just not speaking to me. I can't fully pin down why. I really love my Storm Shadow, my villainous Storm Shadow, and that's kind of the Storm Shadow for me. Maybe I think it's just simply that I preferred the villainous version of the character. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. So at this point in the stream, they took a little pause. We had a promotional video from Skybound Comics around the Compendium Kickstarter. Larry Hama was on, which was really great to see. Always good to see that legend of G.I. Joe, you know. Before they then moved on to the retro wave. And I'm probably going to whip through the retro wave. There's one figure I want to dwell on, but the other two, I haven't really got a great deal to say. The first of the retros they showed us was the Retro Stalker. Here's Stalker. I've got the mainline release. Very happy with the mainline release. Basically, the main thrust, the main drive of the kind of retro design, the delivery of the design that they went for was that it's that much brighter green kind of colour in the camouflage deco. The accessory selection is largely the same. It's a little bit thinned out. He hasn't got the big neck scarf, for example, but the weaponry and the submachine gun in the kind of submachine gun pouchy sleeve thing is all the same. It's the same figure. You know, there's not a great deal changed. It's just a movement in the paint application. So the colour scheme is different. Now, if that's what you've been waiting for, if you skipped on the main line, that's what you want, or you missed the main line, it's probably not that hard to get hold of now, but then this is for you, then great, that's fine. I'm happy with my mainline one. The change in colour scheme's not enough to make me go, woo, and rethink whether I want to replace, you know, and sell on the old mainline one. That is not done that for me. But Stalker's a good figure. I get him out often, still play with him a great deal. He's still a regular feature when I do a display change up back there, because I think he's really great. And so this one, I imagine, will be as articulated and good looking and as textured and as detailed as that one. It's just a different colour, you know. So if that's your thing, they got you covered. Then it was the retro Cobra Trooper that they showed us, and I got to tell you, folks, I am in two minds of this one. I'm leaning much more on the side of disappointed, I think, actually, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's just not retro enough. In my wishlist video, I said I really want them to lean into full cheesy 80s style Cobra Trooper. Give me a Sunbow cartoon design, which, I don't know, I was just filled with a little bit of hope when I saw Duke that they would maybe do some stuff with a little bit more of an animated aesthetic, but that's not been the case here. They've just sort of reused, you know, the style, the design of the Trooper that came with the, was it the his tank set? What are they called? The Fire Team. Fire Team? Was that what they're called? I didn't pick it up. The triple pack. So they've just reused the design, you know, the body sculpt and everything for that. I mean, it looks decent enough. They mentioned that the blue's a bit lighter and a bit more in line with the cartoon colour scheme, which is fine. But there's a lot to dislike. I'm really not into those shin guard boots. For whatever reason, I can't stop noticing them, and they just aggravate me. I like that they've got the webbing on like the old retro one. It's got a good selection of weapons and stuff. I don't know. I've got a couple of the old Cobra Infantry and the Cobra Troopers, which are, to all intents and purposes, doing the same. So, I'm a bit disappointed. I think I'm just going to pass on this one. If they were to redo a Cobra Trooper and put me in a position where I want a repeat character in my collection, then I'd want something like leaning full into the, you know, fully into the retro. Give us a red face mask and a skin-tight shirt on him, you know what I mean? So, yeah, not for me. But the retro Carbot figure that is for me is the retro Cobra Commander. This guy looks nice, very sweet. Obviously, the same body sculpt, same head sculpt as the Hiss Tank edition, but a lot to like with this guy. They've added some extra bits in, so like the white belt across the middle, the white helmet stripe across the top. They were talking about the fact that they've managed to vacuum metalize the face mask, so it looked great on the stream when it was kind of turning it around and showing it under the studio lighting there. Just really blew me away. It just looked sexy as. He's in the classic character design from the comic book, from the cartoon, asides from the hood. I know a lot of people are like, no hood, not interested. No, where's the hood? Again, chat was a horror show. Like, where's my Cobra Commander, hooded Cobra Commander? Like, yeah. He's throwing a wobble in the chat when they revealed this. But I like the helmeted design and I like the face mask. This works cool and fine for me. I mean, if they did a hooded Cobra Commander, then I would definitely consider it. But this is one that's making me break my rule of no repeat characters, because I've got the mainline Cobra Commander, one of the just the core mainline one. I haven't got any of the fancy ones. That's got that real modernized, classified reinterpretation look and feel about it, a bit more sci-fi. And then this one here that's just going to let me redo some of my kind of favorite classic Cobra Commander poses and scenes. So, yeah, I know people are disappointed about the hooded Cobra Commander. I'm not as attached to hooded Cobra Commander as some folks across the community are, and I get the disappointment, I do, but I really like this. The retro wave that I've just shown you, they didn't go up for pre-order today. They're going up for pre-order next week, next Tuesday, the 11th. But that's, everywhere. It'll be available. Except for here in the UK, of course, we have to buy ours from Hasbro Pulse or pay the importer premium through the independent retailers. Just throwing it out there once again. They then took another brief pause, another brief break to just do a little video sequence around the upcoming Wrath of Cobra video game, and had one of the designers on just talking about some of the stuff that they've been working on with that. Looks fun, side-scrolling, beat 'em up. Ninja Turtles, I played that to death in the arcade when I was a lad, but with a G.I. Joe skin on it. Will I be awful at it? Yes, I will. I was never any good at those side-scrolling games. Will I give it a go, though? Yeah, of course I will. Sure. The G.I. Joe theme alone will take me over to that. But yeah, they did that Wrath of Cobra piece, and then they moved on to some of the exclusives. And the first exclusive was a Pulse exclusive, and it was the Mad Marauders, Spirit, and Lowlight 2-pack, which, we'd seen weeks ago with the out the back door of the factory photograph that got leaked and spread around. So, they acknowledged it as well. They made a joke about the first official look, which I thought fair play to them. That's, they know the score. But yeah, they're fine. They're fine. I'm not, I didn't collect G.I. Joe at the time of the Mad Marauders. I'm not particularly a fan of the colour scheme. So it's an easy pass for me, especially as a 2-pack. But Spirit's a good figure. Lowlight's a good figure. I enjoy my mainline releases. So I've got nothing but positive things to say about the actual figs. It's just the colour scheme's not for me. Some of the accessory choices with these are curious. Obviously, the first kind of really key notable accessory changeover is that the eagle that accompanies Spirit is called Nivol. Or Nivol. Someone let me know if I'm pronouncing that way off the mark down below. I'm not familiar, I know whether this has got a kind of lore background. I'm trying to remember. But there was nothing that I seem to recall, but obviously a very different colour scheme to Freedom that we had with the original Spirit. And the choice to give Lowlight the Arctic Bat big old weird sniper rifle seems very odd to me. They said on the stream, like, we wanted to go more sci-fi. But I don't think they did. I think they just had a load of leftover Arctic Bat rifles, painted them up and threw them in the box there. It confounds me. I mentioned this when I reviewed the mainline one. It confounds me that they've still not given Lowlight just a really core, straight-up standard bolt-action sniper rifle. It just makes no sense to me. But otherwise, it's fine. They're the same figures, just a strange alternative paint applications on them, and a little mix up of the accessory selection. They've given Lowlight the night vision goggles as well, and that's all okay. It's an easy pass for me. That's fine. That's good for the wallet. But if you're a Mad Marauders fan, I can see this being a really attractive set. I mean, Lowlight in that colour scheme does look pretty good, to be fair. So there it is, and that's going Pulse exclusive on the 18th of June. Then the next exclusive, this is an Amazon exclusive. In fact, the next two are Amazon exclusives. But this is still Mad Marauders, this next one. It was the Mad Marauder Sergeant Slaughter. And again, I've got the mainline deluxe version of Sergeant Slaughter. I'm very happy with that in just a classic-ish style colour scheme. But if you're a Mad Marauders fan, then this has got a lot to offer. They made a point of highlighting a couple of things. So there's some new accessories like the dumbbells and the itty ditty bag. And the itty ditty bag looks great. Soft goods, cord closing, handles, straps, USA printed up the side. The kit bag looked awesome. And they did make a point of spending some time on that and saying, check out how great this soft goods accessory pieces, and they were not wrong. They've also changed up the minifig, so they've got the minifig with Slaughter like they did with the first deluxe edition, but they've obviously changed it so that it's a Mad Marauders design and it's got a different back on the card and stuff, which is fun and great, you know, really awesome. It does bug me a little bit that the original Sergeant Slaughter has worse of an accessory range than this new Mad Marauders version, because I really fancy that itty ditty bag. I think I could do a lot with that. for some little displays and diodes that I like to play around with when I'm having my man-child playtime, but I'm not buying a whole new Sergeant Slaughter in the Mad Marauder colour scheme, which again, as I mentioned, really not into the Mad Marauder colour scheme, just to get that one accessory. I'm just not going to do it. So I don't know how I feel about the accessory selection there. I mean, it looks great for people who are planning on picking this up and will be buying it, but I'm a little bit like, oh man, come on, the mainline one. There was a big deal at the time. That should have had the itty ditty bag. But I get it, you know, it's just evolution, isn't it? They've just evolved and grown and expanded what they can arrange and what they can do. So there you go. But yeah, it's Sergeant Slaughter. Again, I reviewed that figure favourably. Again, I get it out very often, regularly, so I've got nothing but positive things to say about the figure as a whole. This is just a repaint job, so I imagine all the same that I enjoyed with the mainline version will be as enjoyable with this one, just not into the paint scheme, so I'll be giving it a pass. But it pains me, because I really want that ditty bag. Itty ditty bag. And then we had the next Amazon exclusive, which was the Stinger with driver. And yeah, looks great. I mean, regulars around these parts will know that I do sort of skim over the vehicles a little bit and don't give them as much attention or due as they perhaps deserve, because with my limited display retail space, I've decided to just, you know, minimize my vehicle purchases and about the flight pods as big as I'll go kind of thing. But it looks good. It looks great. Yeah, I mean, it's basically a vamp, but they've changed up a few bits on it to give it its own identity and to separate it, certainly. Obviously, the paint design is different. The colour scheme has changed over to the Cobra Stinger style colour scheme, and it's got the whole rocket weapon package. Loads of blast effects in there, which are all reuse again, though. All reuse of Scrap Iron's blast effects with his little rocket droid thing. But still cool, still a great addition, more added value. So it's got that little rocket weapons package. They made a point of highlighting the fact that they've got this now foot panel at the back there for the soldiers to stand on, and they said it's removable as well, so you can switch it between the two if you wanted to, which I think is, you know, again, fine, good idea, absolutely. And added benefit to the vehicle if you want to start throwing people on the back, you know, operating the rockets. Although why you would be, because you just get a load of blasting. Anyway, I'm not going to explore that. Practically, it makes no sense. They've updated the doors, and they were showing off the insides there, saying the dashboard is all in kind of Cobra red style colour schemes on the on all the dash details and stuff. Put a new engine bit on the front, on the top of the hood there, so it all looks great and fine. The driver looks cool as well. I mean, he kind of looks like a Cobra Trooper, but in a cool kind of grey colour scheme, which is sweet. And they've given him a few accessories to use as well. So overall, a good solid package. You know, another vehicle to add to the G.I. Joe classified selection, and one that will have a huge world of possibilities, great opportunities for posing, displaying, and for the photographers out there, definitely. Like I say, I just don't pick up the vehicles because budget but more importantly, display space. Just haven't got the display space for vehicles of this size, so I tend to skip them and then don't pay as much attention when they're talked about. But I know a lot of people will be really into this and really excited and really happy to see the Stinger included. Oh, and the Stinger, that's I mentioned the fact that it's Amazon exclusive, and that's going up for pre-order on the 18th of June as well. And then to wrap things up, they gave us just one cheeky name-only reveal, which was Footloose, which was delivered in a very bumbling way and didn't quite land with the gravitas that it should do, because Footloose, obviously a very popular character and one that I know some folks have been waiting for. And so will be great to see when he arrives. And that was it. That wrapped up our Yojo June experience. As I said in the intro, it started and round up pretty much within 50 minutes flat this year. They did mention a couple of other things, though. HasLab, they said they've been given the SDCC panel slot, and so to keep your eyes peeled for that. They hinted that there was a clue, an Easter egg towards that, and one of the BMAT was wearing a Cobra Rattler t-shirt, so for those of you out there anticipating the Rattler, keep your fingers crossed that that's what they were indicating. No Dragonfly update either, which I know will be disappointing to folks. They mentioned that there will be other streams through the course of this month, but they basically said that they were going to be unboxings. They were going to do some unboxings of the retros and an unboxing of the Stinger through the course of the month. So it's strongly indicated that that's it. That's our Yojo June in terms of newness done, and that all other streams will be kind of exploring those areas more. I have to admit, I was a little surprised not to see the two 60th anniversary figures that we know about now, which is the Marine, the 60th anniversary Marine, and the Halo jumper. I really expected those to be revealed today, but they were not. So whether they're holding them back as a convention exclusive, so keep your eye out at San Diego Comic-Con, 10/27, at what else is coming up? New York Comic-Con. You know, we got a big convention season rolling through to the remainder of the year, so keep your eyes out for those guys turning up there. No mention of Road Pig, no mention of the Falcon and Heart Wrencher 2-pack, no mention of the Just a Man, Once a Man Cobra Commander, and certainly nothing really surprising out the woodwork. In fact, I'm going to make a whole other video on this subject, but that much stuff was leaked and known about, even to the point where we'd seen the promotional photos for the vast majority of the stuff. There was no real surprises, which was disappointing, and I'm going to make a whole other video on that subject. But I feel like the leaks ruined the overall experience. I'd have been okay if there was a little cheeky surprise, but outside of the two digital renders and the name-only reveal, we knew everything that we saw today, and a chunk of it we'd actually seen already from the leaks. So there we go. And then only my final note was that BMAT mentioned that he used to be a toy tester for Hasbro. And yeah, how do I become one of those? That sounds awesome. How'd you get to do that job? I want to know how to do that. But there we go. But yeah, highs and lows really with this one. I'm certainly not as blown away. Like last year, I was like, wow. You know, this year I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, saw the leak of that yesterday. Oh, there you go, there's the... Yeah, we knew that was coming. Good to see it in hand, finally. Although I was impressed with the Cobra Commander, I must admit. So it just didn't quite have the same energy and buzz about it. And that's no fault of the team there. You know, B-Mac's not got Emily's energy, but he's new to... new to the team. Well, newish. They said he's been there since January. On that note as well, I know some folks were asking, they mentioned at the top that Emily's just overwhelmed with workload, just too busy getting the convention stuff all set and ready to go, and so she wasn't going to be free to do the stream that day, which is why BMAX stepped in, which makes sense, it's fine. So yeah, highs and lows, but overall feeling a little underwhelmed. There's some stuff I'm going to go for, but yeah, just wasn't that thing that made me go, wow, like I did last year, you know? But that might just be me. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that in the comments down below. So head on down below, let me know whether you share my views on these, whether you don't share my views, you know, whatever. Let's get into conversation about it. I'd love to hear from you. What was your favourite reveal? Have you seen them for the first time today and managed to avoid all the leaks and therefore you were blown away and found it really exciting? Yeah, let me know. I'd love to hear all that stuff. But in the meantime, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do all the usual YouTubey stuff that us YouTubers like to ask you to do. Regulars around these parts, if you're planning on ordering off Amazon, please consider using the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Amazon affiliate link to help me get some pennies in the bank for my Amazon accessory reviews. And that's it, yeah. Hope to see you around these parts again for another video sometime soon. All right? Take it easy, folks. Bye-bye.